of shaping whatever God or the universe has given you. That's a different world. I want to bring forth, though, something I think it's important, because some viewers could be sitting, or listeners could be sitting back and, well, this is interesting, airy-fairy stuff. But you've used this, and one of the reasons I have so much respect for you is not only the poetry of your soul and how you communicate, especially in your writing and especially in this course, but it's also, you've lived this. You live, kind of a monastic almost lifestyle from most people's perception. You're in the forest, and you have your classes and the people you're with. It's beautiful. But you've also a man of the world. I mean, you built $1 billion computer company, and in the surrender experiment, you really talked about your journey. I wonder if you'd share with us a little bit of the journey. Like, only 8 years ago, you went through about a 7-year cycle of the government coming at you unfairly. Could you talk about that? Because I think it'll give more gravitas to people who might be sitting down going, okay, these guys are talking about happiness and letting go and be spiritual and all that crap. Let's talk about it from a pragmatic perspective. Tell people what you built and tell them what happened, if you would.
Right. Well, the book, that's why I wrote The Surrender Experiment, which was very difficult to write. It took me a long time to write that book and get it to where it wasn't, I don't want people to take it as my autobiography, because it wasn't meant to be that.
Yes.
It was meant to get across, how do you live this life? I'll show you by example.
Yes.
That's what it
yes.
And that's why people are getting it. Right?
Yeah.
But basically, because I was doing this work on myself, because I vowed to myself, I'm not going out there and bothering other people to be the way I need them to be because I have problems. It's not nice. It doesn't even sound nice. It sounds rather manipulative, all right?
But that's kind of our culture. Everybody's trying to make everybody else believe what I believe, or you're evil, do what I believe you should do,
and
or
then
you're
we wonder
wrong.
why there are wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we have wars everywhere. Male, female, young, old,
Exactly.
in between,
Every level.
Republican, Democrat, everything.
That's right. So I decided to do this work on myself, and I've devoted my life to that each situation I'm going to let go of what I can that's disturbing. And what happened, and I'm not the only person this happens to, truth is it happened to you, it happened to anybody who's really successful.
Yep.
If you really look at it, you didn't do it. It came, and you participated, right? But the universe unfolded in a way that presented opportunities to you. You have no right to take credit for that, even if you're very smart. How do you know how to be smart? Who gave you your brain, right? What if your brain stopped coming up with answers? You wouldn't know what to do, right? And so you become humbled a little bit to realize you're given the gifts of your body, of your life, of your brain, of your heart, of your abilities.
Of being born in this time in history with these choices, places you live.
Everything, all right? And so I kept letting go. And what happened is somehow the universe, the story of the computer, right, as I walked into a Radio Shack store in, my God, it must have been 1978, all right, when the first PCs were coming out. They weren't even called PCs yet. IBM hadn't even thought about putting a computer out. It was that little Radio Shack TRS-80s, all right, it was a little keyboard. And it just fascinated me, and that's more the kind of stuff you talk about, somebody's passion and where that comes from, right? I can't explain that. But all I know is I touched the keys and they came up on a screen. I'd never seen that before. Ever. No one had. You typed a typewriter, it came out on a piece of paper. Not you touched it, came up on a computer screen, right? And so I took one home and I taught myself to program, all right? And so, yes, it took a certain amount of intelligence or whatever it is, but everybody we have human brains. They're very smart, right? We just use them for the wrong thing, all right? And basically, as one thing unfolded to another, I ended up, the book tells the story, I ended up writing a medical billing package. People asked me to, I didn't decide. Asked me to, and I wrote it, and it went crazy. Now, at some point, 25% of all independent physicians in the United States were using my software.
Say that number again.
25% of all independent physicians in the United States of America were using that software. All right? And that went out in 81, 82.
So you're first in the market.
National distributor picked it up. People's, not the exact version, but that piece of software, the medical manager, is still being, somebody the other day told me that they went out and they had a way to check that 44,000 people at that moment were logged into the medical manager. Was that 35 years later?
Wow.
That's ridiculous, right?
Especially how technology has changed.
Well, it evolved, but it was still the same software, right?
I get it.
So in any event, basically, I learned this thing which I call surrender, which is I don't have to do this. What I have to do is be open, ready, in the zone, that's the word you all use, and participate in what is unfolding in front of me. And my experience is, if I do that, it's higher than me deciding what it all should be. right? And kind of participating,
As
and
it
then
unfolds.
inspiration comes.
yeah.
Event, it's miraculous,
Yeah.
really. All right,
Yeah.
but life is miraculous. It's
Yeah.
not just that,
Yeah.
right? And then you asked me to. I don't usually talk about it, but at some point, this giant company built. We went public. All this stuff happened. At one point, I had 2,300 employees reporting to me. All right, and
Yeah.
I'm CEO. I'm running this stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. I'm not doing anything. There are lots of other people working, all right? But I'm in charge, all right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one day, somebody gives me a call and says, you better come back to the office. I said, why? Because the FBI is here. Well, why is the FBI here? Well, did somebody get lost? Or, I said, no, it's a
forest.
raid. It's a raid. The entire sheriff's department is here. There's 10 FBI people running around. They have guns. They're armed. They've taken over the facility. What? As if I know, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't think what was going on, right? And so what happened is one of the employees that did not work where I worked, from his home remotely, had been stealing, and had been doing kickbacks and doing very bad things, all right, which we knew nothing about, all right? We had actually, the lawyers had caught something. They were getting wind, investigating it, but what he did was, I don't need to tell that story again in the book, is he used his manipulative powers, right, that had earned him millions of ill-gotten dollars, and went and figured he was caught. So he went to the government and said, we told him to do it. That the entire executive team knew it. How could they not know what he was doing? Come on, right?
Right.
And they bought into it, right? And he
Classic.
turned witness, right?
The very guy that did the deed turned
Right.
against.
And listen, the people are trying to do their jobs. I don't blame them. You follow me? And so
Yeah.
the entire FBI and the entire Justice Department, there were 3 raids in 3 different cities, and they for 6 years did every single thing they could to prove that we knew what he was doing and that we should be responsible for what he did, and he got off. He served 1 year, but basically they let him off of everything, right? And so that was a heck of a thing to go through.
It was
Yes.
dark days, and there were times in that, and as you tell the story, when like your lawyer who was really fighting for you and starting to make progress develops cancer, and now he has to go off and get cancer treatment, and then the judge gets changed.
That's
And,
right.
I mean, you had so many things that you could not control that would seem insane, and yet through it all, you would stop, breathe, relax, let go, and just trust that this is guiding you to a higher place. Tell them what happened in the end.
Well, my view was, I wasn't even the higher place thing. My view was I devoted my life to letting go of the garbage that comes up inside of me. That's what I devoted my life to. It's an experiment,
Yes.
right? Okay, this was causing some garbage to come up. You could be sure of that, all right? It was like, wow, all right? I felt like Christ laying down on the cross, all right? Because I had
And for 6 years.
I had no idea what was going on. There was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
And you're innocent.
And-
You're being.
and-
You're
doesn't
all
matter.
claiming. You're saying you're the mastermind behind this because you're the CEO,
Well,
right?
they really did 10 of us, and they were all innocent. The entire they did our general counsel, the CPA, the outside accounting firm. They had to prove everybody was wrong if they were going to sit there and say that
Yes.
it was a conspiracy.
Right.
All right. So basically, I kept letting go. That's what I did. I
Wow.
just kept letting go, honoring the experience, honoring the purification, and I did not let my mind.